The new representative of the World Bank to Gabon was received in audience on Wednesday by the Minister of Investment Promotion of Public Sector Partnerships on Wednesday. The discussions were mainly focused on taking stock of the contribution of the banking institution to the improvement of the business environment in Gabon. Hundreds of students engaged into mass demonstrations that took the street of Khartoum in Sudan on Tuesday to demand justice for their comrades killed in the December crackdown. Separatists and political detainees protested their detention by filming themselves via Facebook. Cameroonian security forces intervened during the night from Monday to Tuesday to suppress the mutiny. That's all for our top stories today. Stay tuned for more details in this newscast. The American film actor Samuel L. Jackson is in Gabon to make a documentary. On the same occasion, he would be looking for his possible Benga origins and ethnic of the country. Born on 21st December 1948 in Washington, Samuel Leroy Jackson is an American actor and producer. The young Samuel joined the very prestigious Morehouse College of Atlanta, where he first took his courses in architecture, but finally fell in love with dramatic arts. In 1972, he graduated and obtained a role in Michael Schulz's film entitled Together for Days. More attracted to theater, he sets out to conquer the New York boards. It is during this stay that he had an encounter with Spike Lee that would forever change his life and his professional career and gave him roles in films such as Do the Right and Mo Better Blues. In 1991, at the Cannes Film Festival, he won the Best Second Place Award for Jungle Fever. His fame was mainly due to his incarnation of the philosopher killer in Pulp Fiction by Quentin Tarantino in 1994. Which earned him his Oscar nomination for brilliant performance. After that, he is found to be the most famous black American actor in Jackie Brown and the Kill Bill saga. We also do not forget all his mythical police roles, as notably in Goodbye Forever, The Negotiator, or SWAT. Samuel Lee loves action films and is more noticeable in films like Journée d'Enfer and Incassable alongside Bruce Willis or Basic or Star Wars. Since 2010, his performances have been highlighted in several films: Django Unchained by Tarantino, Marvel, The Avengers, Iron Man, Thor, or Captain America. This impressive journey has propelled him to become a world star. Samuel L. Jackson is committed to the fight against racism. He supported Barack Obama in 2008 and has been a vegetarian since 2013. In 2011, he entered the record book as an actor who brought the most revenue to the box office. Married since 1980 to the actress Latanya Richardson, they have a daughter together. Reviewing the ongoing projects financed by the World Bank, but also taking stock of other projects to be carried out in future. This is the purpose of the visit in Gabon by Abdoulaye Sheikh, the new country representative of the banking institution, who went to present himself to the Minister of Investment Promotion of Public and Private Partnerships on Wednesday. The objective is clear: to foster the transformation of the country by further promoting private partners' investments through improving the business environment. Fidel Otando has understood it well, since in the next few days, a series of meetings is planned with several private partners from all sectors. Oil will not be able to play the driving force of the Gabonese economy indefinitely. The instability of its market has forced the Gabonese authorities to diversify the national economy, focusing on promising sectors other than hydrocarbons. Among the efforts made by the Gabonese government, the economic recovery plan that places sectors like tourism and agriculture as priorities. It would seem that efforts are bearing more and more fruits. This is what suggests, in this case, the remarks by the president of the Development Bank of Central African States, who very well sees the bright future of Gabonese economy. Gabon could become in a few years the first in terms of economic diversification in the sub-region of Central Africa. The Central African State Development Bank remains very attentive to the country's progress and quite determined to support this effort. With regard to such assertions, Gabonese authorities had a hard time hiding their pride. This meeting was also an opportunity to take stock of the cooperation between Gabon and this financial institution. Shots fired, rampages, and fire outbreaks in the central prison of Yaoundé were heard and seen by witnesses on the outskirts of the prison of Buea, the great city of the southwest. These gunshots by security forces were aimed at preventing inmates from escaping. According to corroborating sources, many of them rebelled in the night, ransacking and burning services of the prison administration. Tuesday morning, the violence stopped within the prison. Calm prevailed on the outskirts of the penitentiary. A security cordon held by military and police forces was on site. The access leading to the main entrance of the prison was blocked to traffic. According to Christophe Ndong, a secretary general and lawyer for several English-speaking inmates, they kidnapped Mamadou Mota, first vice president of Cameroon's Renaissance movement of the opposition, and some Anglophones, including Mancho Bebixi, to an unknown place. We don't know how many people in total have been released from prison. Several inmates were injured, among them former Prime Minister Inoni Ephraim and the former Minister Urbain Olangena Awono, targeted by other detainees, were hospitalized. A video shot during the night riots shows inmates from the English-speaking zone exulting during the mutiny. In a twilight atmosphere, inmates can be seen breaking anything they can get their hands on, set fire to some of the prison buildings, and sing the separatist anthem Mbazonia. Many inmates of the central prison of Yaoundé, English-speaking political opponents and separatists, had begun to demonstrate Monday afternoon, broadcasting live on Facebook their demands on both the change in their diet and their need for freedom. The rally comes a week after the signing of an agreement on power sharing between leaders of the protest and the military presiding over the destiny of Sudan since President Omar el-Bashir was ousted in April. The agreement does not address the issue of protesters killed in December. The presence of security forces inside the camps annoys the students who want them to leave once and for all and never return. It should be remembered that the repression has caused 246 deaths since December 19th, of which 127 for the day of June 3rd alone, and 1,353 injured, according to a committee of doctors close to the protest. Authorities have since then reported 71 people killed. The paramilitaries of the Rapid Support Forces are always singled out by the protest and by non-governmental organizations that accuse them of being responsible for the crackdown on the sitting. After 8 days of exchanges, sometimes heated discussions between the different parties, the political dialogue in Burkina Faso closed on Monday. The alliance of the parties of the presidential majority and the opposition have agreed on two main points of these foundations: the 2020 elections and the national situation, but also the electoral code that will undergo some tweaking before the 2020 elections and a complete rereading after the adoption of the new constitution. The electoral calendar will be complied with and maintained with the holding of presidential and legislative elections in 2020 and municipal elections in 2021. They also agreed to set up polling stations in the premises of the embassies and consulates general and in any other places in agreement with the host country. However, the political opposition opposed linking the referendum to any other election for several reasons. Under the national situation, the stakeholders recommend the strengthening of the physical, financial, and human capacity building of the defense and security forces, the establishment of a patriotic financial contribution from all parts of the nation to support the efforts of the defense and security forces, the mobilization of all political actors around a national security policy developed in a consensual manner and based on national reconciliation that leads to the strengthening of social cohesion. The establishment of a monitoring committee to monitor the implementation of its conclusions from the dialogue resulting from this week's discussions. Underpaid and under-equipped doctors in Zimbabwe have hung up their stethoscopes several times in recent months, including demanding decent salaries in hard currency. As for patients, they are forced, even in state hospitals, to pay for their own treatment.
So we find that that combination of low TB prevalence and a rock that is low in silica content and the fact that there's no overcrowding means our TB figures are almost negligible compared to the national average. You find that we get 1, 2, or up to 3 cases in a period of 12 months.
In the middle of this ordinary of precarity, the Rutsanana Polyclinic is an exception, thanks to support from the International Union Against Tuberculosis and Respiratory Diseases.
If one is HIV, if one is on TB treatment, and if he also has TB diabetes, and the diabetes is well controlled, chances of him recovering very well are very high.
In a country where 90% of the population is unemployed, few can afford it. Originally intended for residents of the Glen Norah neighborhood alone, the facility now accommodates patients who live up to 25 kilometers away and covers a total population of over 80,000 people. It was in July 1944 in Bretton Woods, United States, that these two institutions were created upon the initiative of 44 countries in the middle of the Second World War to avoid a new crisis like that of 1929. The International Monetary Fund is then tasked with ensuring global financial stability when the World Bank must work on reconstruction and development before being dedicated to poverty reduction. Considered as tools of control in the hands of the Western powers, they have continually aroused skepticism and criticism. Their anniversary this year is nevertheless taking place in a relatively peaceful atmosphere when the 60-year mark had been crossed in a virulent contest by ultra-globalists. These institutions have undergone an extremely positive development, according to some economists. With 189 member countries, they now work for almost all the nations of the world. And the fund seems to draw lessons from the past, long accused of sacrificing populations on the grounds of drastic reforms demanded in exchange for loans. It is now focusing on preserving the social aspect, increase in life expectancy, lower infant and maternal mortality, better education. The World Bank's overall record is positive. Multilateralism has also lifted more than 1 billion people out of poverty, but much remains to be done to eradicate extreme poverty, especially in Africa, declares David Malpass. The new representative of the World Bank to Gabon was received in audience on Wednesday by the Minister of Investment, Promotion of Public Sector Partnerships on Wednesday. The discussions were mainly focused on taking stock of the contribution of the banking institution to the improvement of the business environment in Gabon. Hundreds of students engaged into mass demonstrations that took the street of Khartoum in Sudan on Tuesday to demand justice for their comrades killed in the December crackdown. Separatist and political detainees protested their detention by filming themselves via Facebook. Cameroonian security forces intervened during the night from Monday to Tuesday to suppress the mutiny. That's the end of our newscast of the day, but keep watching Gabon 24 for further news.